One of the world's busiest airports, London's Heathrow, is closed today after a large fire at a nearby electricity substation knocked out power, disrupting travel for thousands of passengers. Joining us from London with more is Redmond Shannon. What can you tell us about this disruption, Redmond?
Yes, Jaden, this is a huge amount of disruption. Not only is it one of the world's busiest airports, it is Europe's busiest airport, period. 1,300 flights today from and to London Heathrow have been cancelled. At the time of the fire, when the power went out, 120 flights were en route to Heathrow heading towards the airport, and they all had to be diverted or turned back to diverted to airports elsewhere in the UK or indeed in other parts of Europe. Now, I've reached out to the main Canadian transatlantic airlines, Air Canada and WestJet. I haven't heard back yet, but looking at some flight tracking data, I see that there was at least one flight from Toronto, Pearson, last night that had to stop before it got to the Atlantic and stopped in Goose Bay and eventually turned back to Toronto. And then there was another flight from Vancouver that shortly after it took off for London Heathrow last night turned back. So there will be a huge amount of disruption for many Canadians, also those who are stuck here who probably wanted to get back home tonight. And Heathrow is a huge hub for transit flights around the world too. This is the first time since 2010, since that Icelandic volcano ash cloud, that Heathrow has been closed. Now, I won't attempt to pronounce that volcano, of course, as no one ever does, but that affected a huge number of airports across the region. This is just Heathrow, but what we don't know is how long Heathrow will be closed for. They say, for now, the latest update is that it will be until midnight, but the knock-on consequences of this, even if it does open at midnight, could go on for days, if not more than a week.
No doubt that these impacts are far-reaching. So, Redmond, what do we know about the cause?
Well, it happened just before midnight that the fire call came in for this substation near Heathrow Airport. Local residents described the scene as apocalyptic, and London's Fire Brigade gave an update this morning. Take a listen.
London Fire Brigade received 212 calls to a fire in a high voltage substation near Heathrow Airport. The fire involved a transformer comprising of 25,000 litres of cooling oil fully alight. This created a major hazard due to the still live high voltage equipment and the nature of the oil-fuelled fire. London Fire Brigade has fire safety and fire investigation officers working with our scientific advisors and the Metropolitan Police to investigate the cause of the fire. Disruption is expected to continue.
Now, counter-terrorism police here in London will be involved. It's believed that is just as a precaution. The early signs, according to reports, is that this was not sabotage, but of course nothing can be ruled out. The London Fire Brigade says 10% of that cooling oil is still alight as of this morning here in London. Local residents, 180 of them, were removed from their houses in the areas as a precaution. There were no reports of injuries though, but the major questions here in the UK today is how could this happen? How is it that if a substation goes down, that there were either no sufficient backup systems in place or that the backup systems themselves also went down, creating this huge amount of disruption for travellers heading to and from Heathrow?
Those images of that fire are just stunning. No doubt this is a story we're going to be following throughout the day. Redmond Shannon reporting for us from London. Redmond, thanks for this.